Okay, so I'll go straight into the presentation, everybody. Yes, just a preamble. So I've been with Condor Gold for 10 years full time and involved with the company for 14. The news we had yesterday is that we have bought a brand new SAG mill from First Majestic Silver, and that's cost us $6.5 million. And we've issued them $3 million of that payment is by issuing shares in Condor at 50p, which is a 10% premium to the market at the time. And the balance we're paying in cash over the next 3 to 4 months. The good news on it is it's bought from Metso, who are the leading mill manufacturer in the world. They're based in Finland. They provide about 50% of the crushing and grinding equipment to the global mining industry. And it comes with warranties and so forth. And it's a complete mill package. The mill's pretty big. It's 24 foot in diameter. You can imagine a big tumble dryer, 24 foot across, and 18.5 feet long. And with the existing motor that comes with it, it can do 2,300 tons a day. And if we put a bigger motor in, it can actually go do 2,850 tons a day. To put that into tons per annum, which is the previous speaker was talking about, we're 0.8 million tons a year with the installed capacity, and 1 million tons a year if we buy a bigger motor and upgrade it and that involves more power, which is the bottleneck. It goes from 3.3 megawatts to 4.1 megawatts. The mill is 90% ready to be shipped, and some of the component parts already in Mexico with First Majestic Silver, and we have to move those off site in 30 days. So it'll start to come bits and parts of the mill, and there's 32 items that we're buying or start to, I hope, come into Nicaragua ports within the next 6 weeks. But it'll take a few months to get everything in because some of it's in Europe and more tricky to ship. So that's what David was talking about. That's a real game changer for us. It was sort of lined in the sand about production sizing the mill. And so that we got a couple of production sizes of that existing mill, and we're looking to materially increase that. So that's a real good news. And I'm in Nicaragua sorting out shipping, logistics, and I'm going up to site for a number of days because we've got 3 drill rigs operating right now. So the strategy here, I slightly changed the slide here. We've said this particular mill was an opportunity, if you like. We can do 80 to 100,000, but I'm fairly confident we can do 100,000 ounces with this as our base case. The reason for buying the mill is that it cuts our lead time for that particular item by 12 months. So if you want to buy a mill today from Metso, who are the Mercedes, if you like, of the mill manufacturing market, it is probably 3 to 4 months to do a bespoke design for a mill. Then it's a 40 to 45 week lead time, and then there's 2 months to ship it. So that's a 12-month period, and we're reducing that completely, that time, because it's already off the shelf. And First Majestic, it's up to them to explain why they didn't want it, but they ordered it, they paid for half of it, and we've effectively stood in their shoes and get all the guarantees and paid them the money on the mill. So it's terribly significant news for us as a project. So the twin approach is to build the mine out on that mill, and we're going to do the FS studies and further engineering studies around that in terms of sizing belts and gold rooms and cyclones and tanks and the rest of it, and then to show a path to 5 million ounces of gold. And the project and the previous speakers is a low sulfur degradation epithermal vein system. That's exactly what we've got, surprisingly. And these systems can be very, very big. This system was last mined 73 years ago, and the mine closed because one of the underground parts flooded of the historic mine by Noranda. But our investment highlights, well, we're going to production. We've been saying that for 5 years. It'll be no surprise to anyone. We're fully permitted on 3 open pits, which I'll come on to, for 1.12 million ounces. That's the mineral resource, both indicated and inferred. It's 85% indicated. Develop this mine, materially expand it. We've got 1.2 million ounces of underground that's not permitted yet. We easily get 50, 60,000 ounces out of that. We've got a district play of 5 million ounces. We're $30 an ounce in the ground. We've got lower 690 all-in sustaining cash costs. That's your kind of break even. At the end of Feb, we had 11 million in cash. And the cash component of this acquisition is $3.5 million, fairly undervalued. And we got 2.4 million ounces. Half is indicated and half's inferred, half's open pitable, half's underground. Nicaragua, gold's the biggest export. It's been, you get concessions for 25 years. It's a good address to be operating in, and they permitted a mine, so they wanted to go ahead, and it's a big country. Here's your low sulfidation epithermal vein system. So the 2.4 million ounces is made up of 7 different deposits. All can be expanded along strike and down depth. And the core of it, you can see my mouse there, is around La India, America, Mestiza. There's 2.1 million here. And just by drilling down those ore shoots, we can add another 900,000 ounces on. We're drilling over in Cacao at the moment down in the main pit, and I'll come on to that in a minute. Here's La India vein. You're looking at 1.2 kilometers long. This is the vein is caused by a fault in the ground, and this is the plate tectonics in this part of the world, Central America, with the Pacific plate subducting under the cocoa plate, and it causes a major regional fault, and up through that come up gold-bearing fluids. And so you're looking at a couple of $1 billion in situ metal there, and the top 900,000 ounces is open pitable, and about 820 is indicated and about inferred, and it's the indicated you put into an economic reserve, which we did about 6 years ago. And we've got this fully permitted to extract, and there's a 10-to-1 strip ratio on this. And we're currently drilling, if you can see my mouse, where L is on La India. We've got 2 rigs there. I've just been on the phone for an hour and 10 minutes this morning to Nicaragua, and we've completed drilling in the northern starter pit. Here's some of the drill intercepts. We got 10 meters at over an ounce, our best one in the pit, and there's over 40,000 meters of drilling in the main La India pit. That's a sort of a cross section of the pit. Here's the permitted mine site infrastructure. So this magenta area here, this outline, is everything within that's permitted. So there's the processing plant. There's the main pit I just showed you the photo of La India open pit. This little green one we finished drilling, about 24, 25 drill holes in this we've completed, and we're drilling. We've only got about 7 left in the southern pit at the moment. And here's a waste dump. And you haul 1.2 kilometers to the mill. We've got a tailing storage facility here. That's about 72% engineered, fully engineered to FS level. And here we've got 2 high-grade pits to the north, very centrally located. This is a kilometers grid, and underneath it we've got another 1 million ounces underneath these 3 pits. So that's de facto permitted for me, because they'll easily permit a portal in the side of a hill if they're going to permit a pit 1.2 kilometers long and 400 meters wide. This is putting us in context of grade and all-in sustaining cash costs. So if you look to the left-hand chart, it's got the grade. So these are the Canadian companies, predominantly our peer group comparison. Who's got the higher grade over pits, over 1 million ounces of gold in them? Well, Condor's got one of the highest, the second highest on this this analysis. And we've got lower quartile break-even or 690 all-in sustaining cash costs. So a very attractive proposition put in there by a Canadian friend of mine. So the purchase of the mill, I've touched on a number of these bullet points here. And importantly, it's 90% ready to be shipped. And I'm also delighted that First Majestic Silver, which will shortly be a $4 billion company, have done their due diligence on Condor and given us a vote of confidence, both the management team and the fact there's going to be a mine here. And they know the mill, obviously, because they've ordered it, that we're actually going to put in here. So they've taken $3 million in paper, which is fantastic news, at a small premium. Delighted with that. And this will be form very much stage 1 of what we're looking to do going forward. This gets us going and it cuts our lead time by 12 months for this particular item. And I mentioned with a bigger motor, we can get that production up 22%. I'm now just going to talk about the permitted mill feed. I'm sorry if this is a bit technical for some of your viewers, but when you've got a mineral resource, say, of 1 million ounces, you can't get it all out. You're blowing it up and you're taking it, and some of it's uneconomic. And so that number I gave you of 1.12 million ounces, how does that look if you take that rock out of the ground to the processing plant? And the answer to that is you actually don't get 1.12 million ounces, you get 847,000 ounces of mill feed. That's what that's called. And so in total, we have 8.5 million tons at 3.1 grams. Bear in mind, a gram is $60. A gram of gold is roughly $60. So 3 grams is $180. We talk about grams per ton. So a ton of rock is worth $180. And to turn that ton of rock into bar of gold, you've got the mining costs, you've got the processing costs, and the G&A typically. In our case, they're about $55 to $60 a ton, and the ton in situ has got $180 of gold in it. So that cross-checks with your low all-in sustaining cash cost of $690. So these are all fully diluted models done by SRK Consulting in Cardiff, they're not ours. Although some of those internal studies which they supported and backed. And this supports the mill feed that we're doing with a new plant and underground. Just conscious of time. We've done a high-grade scenario, so we can, not only do we have that big production feed of 1 million tons a year for 8 and a bit years, that 8.5 million tons, we could also high grade it. So what of course you do as a businessman, you'd say, right, well, we're going to put the highest grade rock through early on to pay back our loans and have a project payback and increase our NPV and get lots of cash flow early. So we did these studies which we previously announced, and you can see in aggregate these, and this is with dilution skins, it's fully diluted to the mill feed. So that's what turns up at the plant. That's why we've been doing these studies in the background to getting permitted. We've got 1.6 million tons of that 8.5 million is super high grade, is 50% higher grade at 4.6 grams. So there's 245,000 ounces. I'm going to caveat this by saying we still need to do infill drilling on this. Now we're doing 4,000 meters of infill drilling on the main pit in the starter pits of Landia. This is this one here, 387,000 at 4.2 grams. We're doing infill drilling there to 25 meters spacing. So that can show negative surprises and it can show positive surprises. But of course, we're going to get it to tighter drill spacing to increase that confidence ahead of mining. And 25 meters drill spacing is measured to the highest category. And then we grade control after that as we go down. So you're going to mine down 7 to 8 meters per bench, and you're going to do grade control drilling to test where the high grade ore is within it. So what I wanted to show people on this slide is we've got 1.64 million tons at 4.65 grams, 245,000 ounces, 225,000 ounces of recovered gold from the 3 starter pits. Fully permitted this. We're permitted construction operator mine for 10 years. And what happens if we, through our new mill, 2,300 tons a day at the bottom, if I just say, I'm going to be conservative, let me put 4 grams, let me assume it's 4 gram material, so it's my 0.8 million tons a year, times 4 grams, divided by 31.106, which is the number of grams in an ounce of gold, 91% metallurgical recovery. In fact, I think that'll go up to 93, 94, as it is with Calibers mine. That gives you 94,000 ounces of gold if we, in the first couple of years, if you were to put this high grade through, which would be our intention to maximize economics. If we increase the motor size and with the same bit of equipment, process a bit 22% more, or 1 million tons of rock a year at the same grade, and again, I've been conservative here compared with the high grade scenario, we get 117,000. Now, all this is going to be subject to further infill drilling and further geotechnical work and further hydrology work, and all those studies just ahead of mining. As we build the mill, we'll be drilling. There's more work to be done to increase this economic certainty, but this just gives a high level indication of where we are on those numbers. Here's the main pit of Landia. In the north, we've completed the drilling here. We had a drill result out last week of 9.6 meters true width at 4 grams, 3.98 grams, of which about 3 meters of that was colluvium at 1.5 grams, and that's detailed within the press release. And we've got the 2 drill rigs operating here. We've actually done virtually half of these now. The orange ones are meant to be drilled. I haven't had time to update this. And we've got 7 holes left within the southern starter pit. And that's your 60,000, assuming that infill drilling comes back at 25 meters, like Swiss cheese anyway. Assuming that comes back, we have 60,000 meters on, within 35 meters of the 6,000 ounces, sorry, at about 4.2 grams within 35 meters of the surface. So it's just lying there waiting for us to take that out to the mill, either to our mill or we can possibly toll mill that. Here's the plant we're clearing. Just in terms of time, I'll go on. So we're halfway through clearing this. I'm looking forward to seeing it this week or next week. As we've got all that land and we're doing the site preparation. This is the second part of the strategy, which I'll go through quickly. This is drilling down the ore shoots and get another 900,000 ounces. This is just showing you underneath the ore shoot, this is a long section, sort of side on at the vein, and you've got 190 meters here. This is all open. You've got drilling intercepts of a third of an ounce, 6 meters at 10 grams, the 60 meters at 10 grams here, just to show that we can add ounces. This is the fully permitted area, which I've shown you before. Now it's in navy blue. And 4 kilometers away, we're drilling on cacao. We think there's another 500,000 ounces on cacao. So as of this morning, we've drilled 1,191 meters on cacao. So we're 20% through the drill program. So the team's doing a great job there at the moment. And the objective of that drill program is to define that 3 to 4 kilometer strike length, which I'll show you now. So we've got here 60,000 ounces of gold. We've got a major regional fault running through here. We've got good rock chips here with some more formal artisanal mines at 11 grams and more over here at 15 grams. So is this the next Landia vein? The geologists tell me this is. The vein itself looks as healthy and as wide as any vein at the main Landia vein, any part of the vein at the main Landia vein. So let's hope they're right, and I'm backing that decision, and so is the board, to put in this 5,000 meters to sort of test it. And we'll be doing some big step out drillings to see if we can hit it along strike. This is just showing the project. We've got two calderas, to the south and north of the project, and a major regional fault running through it. In fact, 2, which I'll show you next. So the 5 million ounce district potential, we've been working on this quietly in the background for a number of years. There's 2 major regional faults, Landia Corridor and the Andrea Corridor. These have a linking structure, and there's a highway fault here. And this is how you look for district plays. You do all the soil geochemistry, airborne physics, airborne geophysics, a structured geological model, detailed geological mapping. And we've kind of done all that over the last 5 years, as I say. And there's some great targets that we've got here. So what are we up to now? We've got 75 employees. We've got 95% of the land. We'll get the rest of it. We're working with the government to help us get the rest of it. We're doing more engineering. We're about 72% as of yesterday engineered to an FS level on the main tailings storage facility. This is about $1 million studies. We've done all the geotechnical drilling for 23 holes. We're doing site-wide water balance. We're halfway through that, and water management system with SRK in Cardiff. We're in fact just doing a hydraulic study, which we signed off on to agree them to do yesterday. And we're doing all these, we're completely de-risking the project and getting it ready, shovel ready, basically. And the short-term objectives for us to buy the balance of the land and complete the drilling on the pits, the starter pits within Landia pit, do the drilling on Cacao. We'll do some infill drilling on Mestiza. That high-grade pit has 110, 120,000 ounces at 8.6 grams, but it's 30% indicated, 70% referred, and we need to take that up to the higher level of confidence in infill drill and put a reserve around it. The important new SAG mill, which we've got to get our skates on to sort it out, the logistics, which I'm working on, an advanced engineering project, and so the site preparation gets completed. Environmental and social, we take this incredibly seriously because there's a community near the mine. It isn't a former mining community. We spend $20,000 a month in that community. And we have lots of different engagement programs, which I could talk for hours on, but don't have the time. What we're doing at the moment, we've imported from Israel a drinking water container. It's within a container, but it's a water purification plant, so what I'm looking for. and that can provide 2 litres of water per second. That'll basically provide the community. So we're doubling the amount of water that we're gifting to the community. There's no drinking water or sewage up here, so it's quite a poor part of town. But that's a big flagship community project for us and an enabler. We're very pleased with that. So to summarise on the investment case, we're going to go for the 100,000, 80 to 100,000, but I think we'll be near 100,000 on the production with the mill we just bought. We'll look to materially expand that in due course by adding an underground. We're going for the district. We've got 3 rigs on. One at the moment is on Cacao, but we might just put another one on there at some stage, or expand that drilling if it comes back nicely. We've got low all-in sustaining cash costs, $690 an ounce, and most importantly, we're fully permitted, and we're really cheap at $30 an ounce in the ground. In terms of share capital structure, this is a chart. Jim Mellon has got 18%. Jim and myself have got over 20%, which is good. The board has got a lot of skin in the game to make this work, and we're reasonably. There's about 40% reasonably tightly held here, and that concludes my presentation.
Excellent, thank you, Mark. What we now want to do is maybe ask a couple of the questions from the audience. And Peter here asks, well, you've clearly spent 6.5 million on a mill, but can you estimate the remaining capex spend required to construct the mine and get to first gold pour, and the timescales maybe for this?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's an obvious question. The pre-feasibility study that we did was on exactly the same size. It came up, recommended by Lycopodium, on 2,300 tonnes a day. We bought one for 2,300 tonnes a day. That was just on Landy open pit. We've now got 3 pits permitted, so that's why we can make it bigger. The capex within that was $106 million, but we had to buy all the land, and we had to do engineering studies, and we had to resettle a village. This time around, we're not doing it. We're mainly through the engineering studies, and we bought all the land, or most of it, and we don't have to resettle a village. So that's the best benchmark I could give. Now that we've actually got the mill, we are talking with Metso Outotec, and we will be talking with other equipment suppliers on actual final costs to purchase the balance of the equipment. And I don't want to put a number out there until I've actually got some numbers back to me. But we've only just announced this yesterday, as you'll appreciate, David. So I can't give a definitive number. We can either get brand new equipment again on everything, or we can try and do it a little bit cheaper and get second-hand primary crusher and some other second-hand equipment as we're going on. We've got to work through that process. But I'd hope that over the next few months we will come out with a definitive capex number. In terms of the lead time, the second part, once all equipment is into the country, all equipment for the mill, then I would expect a 12-month construction period.
Great. And Kieran asks, when are you expecting to deliver the initial production levels of 80,000 to 100,000 ounces?
Year 1.
Year 1, great.
Maybe, hopefully, yeah, exactly, year 1.
Yeah, and he also asks, will you need to raise additional capital to support this future business activity?
Yes, we will. We'll have to raise the construction finance at some juncture, and the construction finance will be a combination of bank debt and gold loans and equity.
Great. And Condor has 3 drill rigs on site. What are the objectives of the drill program?
Yeah, 2 drill rigs are within the starter pits at Landy main pit, and I highlighted the 2 starter pits that we're drilling there. And that's to drill onto 25-meter spacing. That increases the confidence of the geological model, increases the knowledge base, and that takes it to a measured resource. So that's the final drilling you do ahead of extraction. So 4,000 meters with 2 rigs is doing that, and it's replacing some RC drilling, which was done, some of that in the pits and some of the bit between the pits, to give a higher degree of confidence. So that's the objective of that program. The second program of 5,000 meters with the Cacao, which I mentioned we've just drilled 1,200 meters of, is to test a strike length of 3 kilometers. We've only drilled 500 meters before and have 60,000 ounces and 20 of that's open pit. But we want to see whether it's not 500, but 3 to 4 kilometers long. So we're testing the structure with that. It's not meant to give us a resource update, but we think it's got a 5 million ounce potential. So the pyramid of gold producers, the closer you get to be have say 5 million ounces of gold in the ground, as opposed to the current 2.4 we've got, the more valuable they are, because they're very scarce to get that scale of gold deposit out globally. So those are the 2 drill programs that we currently announced.
Great, excellent. Thank you, Mark. That rounds it up.